Blood off my hands, the judgment coming fast, too much blood on his lane. The second exodus is about to happen, he ain't play. He's sending out the winds on this rock, we gon' stay. We gon' trust the son of man, just to find the Bible. Was disconnected from the source, we done found the power. Messiah built the church back, gotta trust the founder. The carpenter, got the father with him, ain't no stopping you. Protected by the winds, if you got his heart, you stand on the narrow. The father gon' provide, got his eyes on the sparrow. Never seen the righteous get forsaken, not at all. The devil trying to take us cause he know he about to fall. And Michael standing up in his hour, keep the laws. We gon' blow the trumpet, we ain't got to look for it all. Messiah made a way, he laid it down for our flaws. We got the father with his eye all that time. Protecting these commands, they at war with them. The dragon man, cause the remnant about to score with them. The children of the prophets, we don't valley hockey. The law is the light, got us out the darkness. Return to the farm, ain't no other options. We let Messiah in, we done heard him knocking. Worthy is the lamb, ain't no better time, surrender all right now. Ain't no looking back, you ain't locked white, hell no, fit for the kingdom. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to the sis. All right, man, it's Wisdom Wednesday. Titled this video, Intro to Dedication. So with that being said, welcome to class. All right. Now we know the Feast of Dedication is at hand. It's not at nigh. It's definitely here. Right. We're in the midst of it over here at the Hopeful Elect. You see my menorah in the background. It's not lit right now, but after this video, you know, I got to make it my duty to go get some candles real quick before the stores close. What time is it? 8:36. All right. Before the stores close, you know, fellas, you know, if you have a household, make sure that you guys are keeping dedication. And if you're going to keep it, you might as well keep it right, right? Go ahead and get you some candles or something to light up on the menorah, right? Do your part, right? As you can see, I'm slipping right now, so I'm gonna have to go get me some candles. We had some candles on there, but they all burnt, and we don't have it. They ran out of wax, I guess. Anyway, shalom, man. First and foremost, I want to give all honor to the Most High God by the way of His Son. Abraham means Salakia. By the way of His Son, who the world knows as Christ, who is an instrument of salvation for the nation. Right. I want to say shalom to all those that's going to watch this video, be edified. Pray that the Most High uses my mouth and my tongue. And it is Him that's doing the speaking and not me. Shalom to all the 12 tribes scattered abroad to the four corners of the earth, in every kingdom, every country. Right. Hope everybody's enduring. Shalom to the cleavers out there that are cleaving to the nation of Israel, that know their place, that know our God is the God of gods. Today we're going to get into dedication, right? We're going to go over the first two chapters of First Maccabees. Now, you might be saying, what is First Maccabees? Once again, this is an intro class, so I'm going to break it down for y'all. I believe in the last video the brother Denal did, he went into some of the books that were taken out of our Bibles, right? We know that Bible, or the word Bible, comes from a Greek word, I believe, and it just means a compilation or, you know, a compiled group of records, right? And they put it together, they called it the Bible. Now, then they split it, right, into some parts. We know of the Old Testament and the New Testament, but there was a part that went in between that, right? So for context, we know, everybody knows the scripture, there's no Jew or Greek, but you don't really read about any Greek things in the Bible. You read about Roman stuff, Ephesians and Corinthians, but where are the Greeks if it's talking about there's no Jew or Greek, right? because this whole section, Salakia, this whole middle section right here, you see all these books, all of them, right? Were taken out. Now the Catholics, they have it in their book, even though when they go to mass and they're in their big cathedrals, they don't reach for it, right? They reach for that catechism, and that catechism explains all their different ritualistic behaviors and their dogma. All right, it make sense to them, even though it's not the Bible. If they would have picked up that Bible, right, all my Latina and Latino people wouldn't be eating chorizo and egg, right? For those that didn't know, chorizo is pork, right? They wouldn't be having pork on their diet if they actually read the books that's inside of their churches, right? And the so-called Black American, they don't have it in their church, right? Because back in the vestibule, right? Back in the back, after the church service, we give them pork chops, we got the ribs, we got we got all type of abominations, right? So anyway, those books was taken out. In those books are a set of books called the Maccabees. You got First Maccabees, Second Maccabees. All right. Now, First Maccabees, I encourage y'all to read, both of them. It's a good read, very telling. But First Maccabees, right? Chapters 1 through 4 is going to get into the why we celebrate the Feast of Dedication, right? I can go to the precepts in the New Testament where Christ was on the Solomon's porch during the Feast of Dedication and it was winter. We can do all of that. But I want to just get straight to the point, right? We're going to read about dedication, right? This might be a part 2 tomorrow. 9 times out of 10 is going to be a part 2 tomorrow. I'm going to read the first chapter, the second chapter today, and then tomorrow, the third chapter and the fourth chapter, Lord willing, right? We're going to break it down slow. You know how we do when we read these books, man. You could just have it playing in your car while we're going over this. You could play it at nighttime, get your reading in for the day. I'm here to help you, right? Anyway, let's get started, man. I'm gonna bring up Google as well, and Google will help just get a visual of all this stuff, right? So let's read it. First Maccabees chapter 1 says, and it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, the king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece. All right. It just dawned on me that I need to put these words on the screen. So 1 second, Salakia. Let me share. All right. First Mac, chapter 1, verse 1. All right. Salakia. Let me put this at the bottom. Let me put my face at the bottom. Open up the screen for y'all. All right. Where is it at? Salakia. All right, there we go. All right. So I'm gonna read it again. It says, and it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece. Right. So when you read in Ezra, right, when you read in Nehemiah, Esther, you'll start reading about Darius. You'll start reading about the Persians and the Medes. Right. So coming out of the Old Testament, it kind of ends, with the Persians, the Medes, the Assyrians, right? But where does it go from there, right? Where did the Greeks come into play? They come into play right after that, and that's what the Apocrypha, those middle books that I showed at the beginning, that's what the Apocrypha comes into play. It's going to show you what the Greeks were really like, right? And what did they do to our people? Right, let's get into it. It says, Alexander, son of Philip. By a show of hands, class, how many people know who Alexander, the son of Philip, is? Let me open up another tab. Right, I'm gonna just type in Alexander, the son of Philip. This is how easy it is to study the holy text, the Elijah Kadash, right? Oh, I don't know why I put KJV, force of habit. Right? Let's read what it says. It says, Alexander was the son of Philip II and Olympias, daughter of King Neoptolemus of Epirus. Right? I'm guessing she's where we got the Olympics from. From ages 13 to 16, he was taught by the Greek philosopher Aristotle, right? And we learn about Aristotle in our so-called grade school class. We learn about we read about him, study him, all the stuff that he did, a bunch of folly, right? When we really should be worrying about our forefathers and our foremothers that's written right here in the Bible, right? Instead of Aristotle, we should be learning about Solomon, right? Anyway, it says, who inspired his interest in philosophy, medicine, and scientific investigation. Really, it philosophy meaning psychology, right? Alexander, he Salakia, Alexander, he got in the minds of the people. As we'll read, you'll see how he kind of got Greece as the empire it was, because Greece wasn't just a small area, it was the whole earth pretty much, right? And he got everybody on one accord. It says, who inspired his interest in philosophy, medicine, and scientific investigation. As a teenager, Alexander became known for his exploits on the battlefield, and he had a lot of wise victories that he did, right? So it says Britannica right here, Alexander the Great. So that's what we're reading about. The son of Philip is Alexander the Great, right? So for all those that don't think the Bible teaches history, no, you don't need a world history book. No, you don't need to go to AP US history. No, you don't need to go to world history class and get a degree or get your credits, or you don't need all that. You just need to read the Bible. The Bible's going to tell you, right? It says Alexander the Great. They call him the Great because of all the wars he won, some of the inventions he came up with, his influence on the world. But a lot of Israelites, a lot of our people like to call him Alexander the Freak, right? Or Alexander the Greek. We could say that. We don't call him great, all right, because he was not a great man. But it says Alexander the Third of Macedonia, commonly known as Alexander the Great, was a king of the ancient Greek kingdom of Macedonia. He succeeded his father Philip, right? Let me go ahead and bring this up. But you see how this aligns, right? This aligns with the Bible, man. It tells you his father, tells you his name, just like the Bible does, right? I'm going to read this one more time. We're going to compare and contrast. It says, and it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip, just like we just read, the Macedonian, right? Just like we just read. All right. We're talking about the same person, Alexander the Third of Macedon, or from Macedonia, commonly known as Alexander the Great, right? King of the ancient Greek kingdom of Macedon. He succeeded his father Philip II to the throne in 336 BC at the age of 20, and spent most of his ruling years conducting a lengthy military campaign throughout Western Asia. By the age of 30, he had created one of the largest empires in history. Everybody knows about the Greeks. Everybody knows about Greece, right? When you get in grade school, they make you do projects. Pick your favorite Greek goddess. Pick your favorite Greek god and embody them. Paint them. Draw them. Put on a costume, right? What else does it say? To northwestern India, stretching from Greece to northwestern India. All right. Salakia. He was undefeated in battle and is widely considered to be one of history's greatest and most successful military commanders, right? He was a force to be reckoned with. Um, so they got here. I want to pull up the map, but you can see right here Western Asia, Egypt, Northwestern India, right? He controlled a lot. That was a lot of the earth that he controlled. Let's get an image of what he may have looked like, right? We see these images. Kind of looks like the thinking man, right? So we see these images. This is what he probably kind of looked like, right? And it said he was 20 years old now. So imagine a so-called white man, you know, um, ruling at this time. And this kind of what he looked like, right? Now, as we keep reading, we'll get into it, but it does mention that these are Idumeans, right? And Idumeans are Esau, Edom. And historically, this is factual. What he looked like was a so-called white man. So we know that Idumea, Esau, Edom, is indeed the so-called white man. Not making this up, man. This is history and facts. Let's see. Um, Greece, the Greek kingdom. Let's see, Greek kingdom. Just so we can see how much of the earth was occupied by Greece, right? So the kingdom of Greece, right here. You see all this? All of that, all of this, right? And he was undefeated in war, so nobody was trying them. So guess what? As we read, it's going to tell you how the whole rest of the world got down with whatever he said, right? So let's go back. It says, and made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth, just like we read. Verse 3 says, and went through the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up. Right. So I want to also, who does this sound like? Right. Who does this sound like, man? You see this type of two-headed eagle, right? That's the flag of Greece. All right. We also know that America's flag is what? The eagle. The Romans' flag is what? The eagle. Spain's flag is what? The eagle. Egypt, like, what did they have on their walls and their crest? The eagle, right? So as we're reading this, we'll read it again. It says, and went through the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations. This is how America is built, right? Mystery Babylon, taking pointers from Greece, from Alexander the Greek, right? Took spoils, right? That's why we set up our military bases and we take the spoils, oil and all the gold and all these minerals and things like that. We take it from these people, these countries, these nations, right? And we expect nothing to happen to us because nothing happened to Alexander the Great. So America tries to line up how these empires ruled for so long, and they try to do the same thing. It says, and he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him. Meaning, like I said earlier, they may not have been in the empire of Greece, but they became tributaries, meaning, hey, whatever you want us to do, we're going to do it, right? We're not coming up against you, whatever you ask us to do, we're going to do it. Uh, like when we first came into the land of Canaan, right? All those that we didn't kick out of the land, the Philistines, Midians, the Gibeonites, right? All those we didn't kick out the land, we made them tributaries, right? Even though the Most High said, get them out the land, right? Some of them was kind of too fierce for Joshua and Caleb, and they became tributaries instead, meaning they was cool with us in rulership, right? Verse 5, it says, and after these things, he fell sick and perceived that he should die. Now there's rumored that Alexander the freak, while we call him the freak, is that he was homosexual, right? Let's see if Google will give us something on that. I don't know what that is. Alexander the Greek was homosexual. At the time, passive roles were considered effeminate. While there is no concrete evidence that Alexander engaged in sexual relationship with men, the generally liberal approach ancient Greeks had toward homosexuality had led many to assume he did. Right? So, now, a lot of these people, they want you to believe that Alexander was great. So they're not going to have him be weakened by being homosexual. Right? Let's type in something else. Alexander the Greek died from what sickness? Right? It says he died from malaria, having contracted it 2 weeks before the onset of illness. All right. Yeah, I'm not believing that. All right. Poisoning, parasitic diseases, influenza. So they're saying he got poisoned from a neurological disorder. See, they can't get a fever, malaria. They can't get their story straight, right? But let me tell you, it's not a rumor. Alexander was indeed homosexual, right? And he fell sick from an STD. They're not going to tell you that, but through the Spirit we can see it. Verse 6, wherefore he called his servants such as were honorable and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. Why do you think he parted his kingdom from him? Right? Why wouldn't he give his kingdom to his son if he had a son? Right? Or let his daughter rule. Right? This is why I say he's homosexual, because he gave this kingdom to his friends. It says, so Alexander reigned 12 years and then died. Short reign. And then he only reigned for 12 years, but the whole earth knows about this man. That's how impactful his reign was. Verse 8 says, and his servants bear rule everyone in his place. Right? And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after. See, they put crowns on their sons, right? Letting you know that hey, Alexander, right? So it says, and evils were multiplied in the earth, and there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes. And you could do your research with Antiochus, right? Well, since this is intro class, let me pull them up just to let you know that the Bible has history in it, man. And it's not just the Israelites' history; it's the world, right? So Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, this is what he may have looked like, right? See him on the coin there, right? Part of the Hellenistic age. Bible's most notoriously forgotten, right? It says Antiochus was a Greek Hellenistic king, right, who ruled the Seleucid Empire, right? The Seleucid Empire was just Greece. He was son of King Antiochus III, right? So what does Hellenistic king mean? What does Hellenistic mean? Let's get it. We're in class. Hellenistic. Relating to Greek history. So when it says he's a Hellenistic king, he's a Greek king. They say Seleucid Empire. It's the Greek Empire. It's the same thing. right? Related to Greek history, language, and culture from the death of Alexander the Great to defeat Cleopatra and Mark Antony by Octavian in 31 BC. By the way, all those that did not know, Cleopatra is a man, right? When you see that painting, you're looking at a man, all right? That is one of the first famous transgenders, or yeah. That's one of the most famous trans, all right? During this period, Greek culture flourished, right? Spreading through the Mediterranean and into the Near East and Asia, centering on Alexandria and Egypt, right? And Pergamum in Turkey. So, how did they end up in Egypt? So, a lot of people know that Egypt had something called pharaohs, but they had the Ptolemaic dynasty as well with Ptolemy, right? The Ptolemy family, right? That's who ruled in Egypt at the time, right? And there was a constant battle between them and Greece, right? And Greece ended up winning, right? So that whole northern part of Egypt, or that whole really northern part of Africa, was the Ptolemaic kingdom or dynasty, right? And they ruled for a long time, right? You'll see a lot of them um, in some of the works on the walls and things of that nature. But he ended up defeating them, right? So that's some research you can go look on yourself. There was a lot of things. One of the things one of the Ptolemaic people did. Let's see, Ptolemaic kingdom to destroy Jerusalem, right? They did some things to our people as well. Ptolemaic Baris, right? Egypt during its rule of Jerusalem in the 3rd century BC. See, we talking about the same time here. I want to read about some of the things he did. Um, Jerusalem was taken by Alexander the Greek in between the siege of Tyre. Jerusalem, however, was taken without a fight, and no account mentions the Persian citadel at this time. It may be dismantled. That's not what I wanted. Hellenistic rules. All right, so Seleucid Empire. Trying to get what he did, right? Let me just type it in. Think it'll pull it up. I don't want to spoil it though. Ptolemy drunk. Sounds weird. Stay with me. Right? Here we go. It says the 3rd book of Maccabees is book written in Koine Greek, likely the 1st century BC, right? This is during the Ptolemaic period of Egypt, or in Roman Egypt, despite the title. First Maccabees, second Maccabees. Instead, it tells the story of persecution of the Jews under Pharaoh Ptolemy, right? So the Ptolemy family, they were also known as pharaohs. You know, Pharaoh was a title, right? Just like the Caesar is a title, right? But there's always been royal bloodlines or families, right, in these seats. So Ptolemy family at this time were the ones that were taking that pharaoh title. All right, if that makes sense. Um, some debates before Maccabee uprising in Judea. The story explains Purim, blah blah blah. Esther, Diaspora. He grows to hate Jews, right? So a lot of us want to be Egyptian and pharaohs, and we want to look into Egyptology. They hated the Jews. I just wanted y'all to know that. And we were the Jews, right? This is why Moses right? Salaki not Moses. This is why Paul, this is why Christ, this is why so many of us were, I think Moses too, were um, uh, Salakia, my mind's going blank. This is why so many of us were mistaken for being Egyptians, right? It says, in order the Jews of Egypt assembled in Hippodrome to be executed by elephants, right? This is the point. This is what I was trying to find, right? He executed our people by elephants. It says, however, God protected the Jews, and Ptolemy's elephants trampled his own men instead, right? Ptolemy experiences a change of heart and lets the Jews go free. The Jews establish a festival and celebration, right? So, there's a lot of things we celebrated. Celebrating the Feast of Dedication, but we may have celebrated the destruction of Ptolemy as well, right? I wanted to show the information of how he got the elephants drunk, right? Anyway, we're not going to take too much time on it. Y'all can study that on y'all's own time, right? Where were we at? Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been a hostage at Rome, and he reigned in 137 years of the kingdom of the Greeks. Right, verse 11. It's now starting to get juicy. It says, in those days went there out of Israel wicked men. I like going here a lot of times just to show people that we are practical and we understand that just because we're Israelites, just because we're, Israel, does not mean that we don't have wicked people in our nation. It says, in those days went out of Israel wicked men. We have wicked men and women in our nation today, right? It says, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us, right? And this could be a multitude of things, right? We have wicked men and women in our nation today that are Israel, that don't know they're Israel, and they persuade a lot of us to go to mega churches. They persuade a lot of us to join gangs. They persuade a lot of us to give our money and education to our oppressors. They persuade a lot of us, right, not to press charges on somebody that just hurt our family member and to forgive them, right? They persuade a lot of us to do things that's not pleasing to the Most High by becoming Greek and Greek life. We might as well talk about it since, we're talking about the Greeks, right? A lot of us, we want to make covenants with the heathen or agreements with the heathen, right? 501(c)(3), yeah, if a natural disaster happens, all these people can come into my church building. Just give me the money, right? We make these covenants with the heathen that are round about us. A lot of us go in, we snitch on our people, right? Or turn a blind eye to our people when police brutality happens, right? We make these covenants with the heathen. Why? It says, make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us, for since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. Right. So a lot of people see how we're oppressed and they don't care, man. They want to be Eastern Stars, they want to be Freemasons, they want to be Omega Psi Phi, and they want to be just like our oppressors, right? And carry those Greek letters and be a part of fraternities and sororities. They want the degrees and the accolades. They want to go to seminary school. They want to do everything like our oppressors. They want to dress like our oppressors, right? To show our oppressors we can dress better than them and what they wear. We want to dye our hair and get the weave like our oppressors. We want to make these covenants with our oppressors. We want to celebrate their holidays and do it big and show them how much we love this country. We want to make covenants because we're oppressed. And that's what happened back here, man. And it said that these people were wicked for doing so. It says, so this device pleased them well, right? It says, then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king who gave them license to do after the ordinance of the heathen. So, hey, look, the king Antiochus, he said, yeah, y'all can make covenants with us and become tributaries and do what we do. We don't wear clothes. A lot of us are homosexual. Come on, be homosexual with us. Come on, join the orgies. Come on, join, our holidays, celebrate our gods and our goddesses, right? He gave them license to do what they do, right? Verse 14 says, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the custom of the heathen. And the custom of the heathen were to work out naked. It'll get into that if you keep reading the book of Maccabees, right? And this is why when we go to the gym today, the girls are in second skins, I like to say, because it's not really clothes if it's showing your whole shape, right? Which we call them leggings, right? You see the men in there, right? They have barely tank tops on, right? These little straps, right? And some of them are wearing shorts higher than the girls, right? This all comes from the Greek fashion, the custom of the heathen, right? In Jeremiah 10, it says, the custom of the heathen are vain. Learn not the way of the heathen. So this is why when you go to the gym, you should cover up, right? Because if you don't, you're just doing what the heathen do. Really, that place of exercise was invented by the Greeks, right? And this is how the Greeks won a lot of wars because they were strong and they were always exercising in tip-top shape. Yeah, so they, there's some truth to everything, but ultimately there's some wickedness behind what the heathen do, right? Verse 15, it says, and made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant, right? They made a covenant with the heathen and said, you know what, we'll uncircumcise ourselves because y'all in rulership right now, right? We know we made a covenant with God that we would circumcise, but y'all the ones we see with the power, right? And a lot of our people today, that's how they act. Yeah, we might be the people, but the white man in power. So I'm gonna keep celebrating these holidays, and I'm gonna keep eating what they want me to eat, and I'm gonna keep doing these things because it's easy, right? Because you're being persecuted, right? So you make a covenant by your actions with the heathen, right? And that's why it's a sin to be in Greek life. That's why it's a sin to follow the ways of America, right? And joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief, right? And so now you have a lot of so-called black people, right, pushing certain agendas for money in America to our own people, right? Setting up things in America for the downfall of our own people, pushing music on our people for the downfall of our people, feeding our people bad things for the downfall of our people, all because they want to be blessed by the heathen and they want that sorrow to stop, right? So the same thing, nothing new under the sun. We did this back in the kingdom of the Greeks. This is the kingdom of America, and it's the same thing, right? People are sold to do mischief, meaning they're getting paid good, so they don't care, right? They believe if they give some turkeys during Thanksgiving, they're doing their part. They buy some sneakers, they're doing their part, right? But they're sold to do mischief. They get in money. They don't care they don't care. They don't care, right? Verse 16. Now, when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt that he might have dominion two realms. That's that Ptolemaic dynasty, those pharaohs in Egypt, right? And they were going back and forth. Antiochus would win, they would win. He would win, they would win. And eventually they conquered Egypt. It says, wherefore he entreated into Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots and elephants and horsemen and a great navy. There goes those elephants, right? And made war against who? Ptolemy, king of Egypt. But Ptolemy was afraid of him and fled, and many were wounded to death, right? So they conquered Egypt. Thus they got the strong cities in the land of Egypt and he took the spoils thereof, right? Now, Egypt was a pretty big kingdom or empire. They took all the spoils of Egypt. So who on top now? We know it was the Greeks, right? And after that, and same thing with America. We know America is so-called on top right now, and that's why our people, even in other lands scattered abroad, we worship America, right? We worship its laws. We worship how they operate. Everybody wants to be like America. You'll see people on TikTok in different countries trying to be like Americans, even our people, right? Nothing's new under the sun. The only difference is it's not Greek, it's America now, right? But everything was written for our learning. It says, um, and after that, Antiochus had smitten Egypt. He returned again in the 143rd year and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude, right? He came against us, little old us, right? And entered proudly into the sanctuary and took away the golden altar and candlestick of light and all the vessels thereof. They took all of our holy things. And what do you think they did with them? They profaned them and they claimed them to be theirs, right? Verse 22, and the table of showbread and the pouring of the vessels and the vials and the censers of gold and the veil and the crown and the golden ornaments that were before the temple, all which he pulled off, right? He took also the silver and the gold and the precious vessels. He also took hidden treasures, man. They took everything, hidden treasures, right? And you know there was some snitches that gave it up because they were scared. And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre. They killed us, man. Spoken very proudly. So you trying to be like these people. You envy these people. A lot of y'all say we wouldn't be who we were if it wasn't for these people coming to get us from Africa. But these people didn't care about us, man. They've always been massacring us. Therefore, there was a great mourning in Israel in every place where they were, right? So that the princes and elders mourned, the virgins and the young men were made feeble, and the beauty of women was changed, right? A lot of us, we don't look at our women as beautiful, right? We want the women of the other nations, right? The beauty of our women have changed. Now we know they're beautiful, but the desire is not there for some reason, right? Now, I'm not talking about us that's in the truth. I'm talking about, well, some of us that's in the truth still is still there, right? We don't want our women. But a lot of us in the world, you see these athletes, you see these rappers, you see a lot of people, they don't, their first option and choice is not our women. And they'll go and get an ugly woman from another nation just so that they could say or feel like they have a prize. That's because it's the same curse that's on us. Our women are not beautiful. That's what it means. The beauty of women was changed, right? Every bridegroom, and that also means a lot of us took up the custom of the Greeks and became homosexual, right? And the beauty of the women was changed. All right. Verse 27. Every bridegroom took up lamentation, and she that sat in the marriage chamber was in heaviness. Right? Because a lot of grooms died, right? You thinking a lot of men either turned gay or died in war. Yeah, the women are definitely gonna sit in heaviness. Verse 28. The land also was moved from the inhabitants thereof, and all the house of Jacob was covered with confusion. They're like, dang, why did this happen to us? We serve a good God, but and that's why a lot of us today, a lot of us, why we're such a talented nation. We're so nice to everybody. But why does God allow us to be oppressed? It's because we're not keeping the law, statutes, commandments. We're not following him. And they weren't following him there. And they caught up to him. Verse 29, and after 2 years fully expired, the king sent the chief collector of tribute unto the cities of Judah, right? And who came into Jerusalem with a great multitude and spake peaceable words unto them, but was all deceit. Man, these pastors, right? Joel Osteen, these politicians, Barack Obama, you got Joe, Sleepy Joe, you got Hillary Clinton. And look, they speak peaceable words to our people, but it's all deceit. For when they had given him credence, he fell suddenly upon the city and smote it very sore. Because every time we stick up for one of these people that so-called stand up for us, they treat us very sore, man. They don't care. They play us to the side. Hispanics too, right? They just want you for what you can do for them and destroy much people of Israel. And that's why we're getting destroyed today. And when he had taken the spoils of the city, he set it on fire, pulled down the houses and the walls thereof on every side. Hey, just know when they have your kid learning about the Greeks and they come home and they want to talk about this Greek god or this Greek goddess, and just know that this is what they was doing to our people. Tell your kids if they in public school, you tell your teacher you're not doing that. Tell her we don't support that. Or him, we don't support that. Right? Have them do something for the Israelites, right? But the women and the children they took captive and possessed the cattle. They built the city of David with a great and strong wall and with mighty towers and made it a stronghold for them. And they put therein sinful nation, wicked men, and fortified themselves therein. They took all of our stuff. They made our they enforced our walls against us. Just like today, they took all of our stuff, and now, hey, let you be Hispanic, brown, or black, you're kicking you out. A sinful nation, wicked men. They fortify themselves in our land. Hey, nothing is new under the sun. So they stored it also with armor and victuals. And when they had gathered together the spoils of Jerusalem, they laid them up there. And so they became sore snare. For it was a place lie in wait against the sanctuary and evil adversary to Israel. Thus they shed innocent blood on every side of the sanctuary and defiled it. Right? They defile our temple today. They got the biggest pride parade over there right now. Nothing's new. The biggest there it says, and an evil adversary to Israel. That's why every time we say something, anybody else could say something, but every time our people say something about the people in that land right now, we anti-Semitic, right? That's our biggest adversary over there. Verse 38. And so much that the inhabitants of Jerusalem fled because of them, whereupon the city was made an habitation of strangers, just like it is today. Man, right? Nothing is new under the sun, and became strange to those that were born in her, and her own children left her. It's strange. You tell a so-called black, Hispanic, native person that you from Jerusalem, it's strange to them. It became strange to us, right? Her sanctuary was laid waste like a wilderness. Her feasts were turned into mourning, her Sabbaths into reproach, her honor into contempt. As had been her glory, so was her dishonor increased, and her excellency was turned into mourning. Right? Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. Right? All should be one people. Right? This is called a Unitarian or Catholic point of view. That's what Catholicism is, universal. That's why you see the Pope holding hands with every religion, right? They think we all should be one people. That's why Christianity, founded by the Roman Catholics, preaches that everybody can be saved, that we're all the same, that God made all of us equal, when the Bible don't teach that, right? It's the dream of Antiochus still on this earth, that we all should be one people, right? The king of Nimrod on this earth, that we all should build the Tower of Babel, right? But that's not so. That's not how God wants it. All right. It says there should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king, right? So they think that everybody should leave their laws, right? And follow by them. And that's what America's doing today. In America, everybody speaks English. You go to any country, there's somebody there that speaks English. We've all adapted to the same language. Behold, the people are one. They have all come together and speak the same language. Therefore, nothing is withheld from them. Right? God wants to separate the people, just like he did in Babylon before. And this is Mystery Babylon all over again. Right? The people are one. Right? And everybody should leave his law. This is why whenever there's a conflict, a lot of people, they run to America to be the mediator, because everybody thinks America has the best laws, right? So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion. A lot of us, we transferred over, right? Just like today, a lot of us, because we were oppressed in Africa during the Arab slave trade, or the sub-Saharan slave trade, or the Arabic slave trade, a lot of us was forced into being Muslim. We just took it, that's us right there. Many also Israelites consented to his religion. Also, when we came over here, man, they forced Christianity on us. So a lot of us till to this day believe in Christianity, but Christianity is not the Bible. You can believe in the Bible and still not be Christianity, but our people don't know that, right? But a lot of us consented to the religion. A lot of us are Catholics, consent to that religion because it was forced on our Spanish people, our Latin American people, right? And you'll read about it as well in the Maccabees. But Spain was conquered by Rome too. That's why they shared that eagle, right? And they were influenced to do a lot of things that Rome did. All right. That's why a lot of the Spanish were Catholics, and you have the Roman Catholics. Right, verse 44, for the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the city of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifices and drink offerings in the temple, that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days. So that's why our people don't know about the Feast of Dedication. They don't know about Passover and Tabernacle and first fruits. They don't know. They don't know about the Sabbath day because they're too busy partying. It says they should profane the Sabbaths. Right? So what I'm trying to pull out here, even though we're celebrating the Feast of Dedication, right? And this happened during the time of the Greeks, we're living in that same time now. No, I'm not talking about reincarnation. I'm just talking about what's done under the sun will repeat itself, right? The stuff we doing now, our forefathers did. And we have a few brave ones just like our forefathers. But let's keep reading. And polluted the sanctuary and holy people, set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, sacrifice wine's flesh and unclean beasts. That's why you go to these churches and you see these Christmas trees up in the churches. That's the idols, right? We set up altars and idols, right? That they should also leave. And a lot of us, man, we pray into crystals and have tarot cards, and we doing all these things. That's it is right here. Verse 48, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, which we do every day, right? And we thank God for these abominations. But Job, what is it, 14 and Salakia, what is Job? Job. Let's see. Job 14 and 4. Who can bring a out clean from unclean? No one. Right? No matter how much praying you do for these abominations, it's still gonna be unclean. The word don't change, right? To the end, they might forget the law and change all the ordinances. And it worked, man, because our people, man, just a little oppression, our people will forget the law and change all our ordinances. God, I can eat that if I want to. I can celebrate this if I want to. I can do this. I can wear this if I want to. I can. Hey, God is the only one that can judge me. He sees my heart. That's what that is right there. Verse 50 says, whosoever would not do anything to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. Right? And in the self same manner wrote he to the whole kingdom and appointed overseers over all the people. Right? It says he should die. Hey, look, that time is coming to where you're gonna have to stand up for your faith or die. Are you guys really ready for that? I feel like a lot of our people aren't ready for that. But it's not going to be a movie one day. It's not going to be a train of thought one day. It's going to be reality. And you got to be able to be willing to die. It says, take up your cross. The cross is the symbol of death. If you're taking up your cross, that means you're willing to die. Right? It says, he put overseers over us. That's your famous people that of our nation. They oversee us, right? They study us. Their bosses that control them study us, right? And they oversee all of us and they manipulate us to do whatever they want. Commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city. That many of the people were gathered unto them to wit everyone that forsake the law. And so they committed evils in the land, right? And drove the Israelites into secret places, even wheresoever they could flee for succor. And that's why a lot of us feel like we got to hide our fringes today. We got to hide to say that we're Israelites. We got to go to secret places for our holy days and watch what we post on social media because of the oppression, right? And it happened before with the Greeks. Our people was hiding back then. Now, the 15th day of the month, Caslu or Cheslev, in the 145th year, right? They set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar and builded idol altars throughout the city of Judah on every side, and burnt incense at the door of their houses and in the streets. And when they had rent in pieces the books of the law, which they found, they burnt them with fire. And whosoever was found with any book of the testament, or if any committed to the law, the king's commandment was that they should be put him to death. Right? So we weren't even allowed to have our Bibles, man. It's gonna come that time again. Everything that we just read, we see it going on today. So know that this is coming too, right? If you got that Bible, we're gonna put you to death. You're gonna go into prison. We're gonna torment you. It's gonna happen, right? Commandment was that they should put him to death. Thus did they, by their authority, unto the Israelites every month, to as many as were found in the cities. And they got to do this. Why? Because they know we're a great people. They know we're a great nation. And if we start bucking up and becoming a nation again, America's going to have to do the same thing that all the other empires did to us. And that's strip us from our laws, strip us from our inheritance, strip us from our way of thinking, from being a people. That's what they did when they saw Black Wall Street. They bombed it. We can't have that. They put people to death. They bombed churches, right? They come on now. It's the same people we talking about. Now the 5th and the 25 and 20th day of the month, they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which is upon the altar of God, right? At which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised, right? So our women weren't even circumcising because they didn't want to be put to death. Look what they did. And they hanged the infants about their necks. They got the umbilical cords and hung the children who they did circumcise around their necks. They killed the kids and rifled their houses and slew them that they had circumcised them, right? So if you're not circumcised right now, go ahead and get circumcised, because this was happening to our people for not being circumcised, right? Everybody's always talking about what can I do for my ancestors, and how about keep the laws like they kept the laws and they were willing to die for them. If you want to manifest your ancestors, manifest this. Read about what they did and act accordingly, right? It says, howbeit many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing. So that's those of us that's waking up to the truth. We're not gonna eat no unclean thing, no matter what. Nah, we're quick to say no. We're quick to read ingredients now, right? We're fully resolved. All praise to the Most High God and His Son for sending His Spirit and understanding. Verse 63: Wherefore the rather to die, that they might not be defiled with meats, and that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died, right? But we know nobody really dies. When you keep these laws, statutes, commandments, you're not really dead, right? Because as you keep reading the Maccabees, again, like I said, I encourage everybody to read it. They believed in the resurrection, right? And there was very great wrath upon Israel, right? I don't want to keep these too long. So that was an hour. So what I'm going to do is, Salakia, sorry that I said in the beginning of the video I was going to do 2. But what I'm gonna do is tomorrow I'm gonna highlight some verses out of chapter 2, chapter 3, and chapter 4, and I'm gonna wrap it up then. Right? I'm gonna get the high points. We'll go into some more, man. Pull up some more Google stuff and do it that way, right? But other than that, I want to say shalom. I hope you guys was edified. And Lord willing, see you guys tomorrow for Intro to Dedication Part 2, but to think about it Thursday. Your brother Azrael, shalom.